What's good, people? It's your boy, Uncle Fred, back in the house one more again. Uh, man, four incredible games we saw this weekend, man. A lot of good stuff we saw. Um, on all four games, we're just gonna kind of look at all four games. Some of the things I saw, some of the plays I saw, the impressions that I got on them. And then like the question, if you look at my thumbnail, great, well played, well executed games by four good teams that deserve to be in the playoffs and played as such. And it left me wondering, uh, as a fan, super fan, or whatever you want to call me of the Cowboys, did we even belong in the first place? And I'll tell you what I mean here in just a minute. Y'all hang with your boy. We're gonna talk. We're just gonna talk today. I ain't really got no topics on there. I just want to look at the games that we saw today and look at how we kind of measure up and why we can't do some of the things that some of these teams was able to do. Hang with your boy. We'll be back just a minute.
Two times on the beat, bitch.
Once again, what's good, people? I am Uncle Fred. This is Uncle Fred Rants. Welcome. We'll let some people come in, and if they want to come and join me in the chat today, we just gonna talk today. Not gonna have most of my videos have like a lot of listed topics and things we want to cover and stuff like that. And it's really kind of you know well thought out, well scoped out, and you got points and points, and then hit points, and you hit those areas, and the next point, and then hit the areas, and the next point. And so, but today, I'm not really gonna hit any specific points. It's just, I watched some games over the weekend, starting Saturday night, and was the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. And of course, and I would like to thank everybody that kind of joined in with us on what's going on down south, Faithful 49. I'm going to tell you in just a minute. I'm going to hit all the games. Thought they played well. I do think Green Bay might have outplayed you a little bit, but hey, man, y'all made the plays when you had to make them. And when it was time to make plays, Purdy made his plays, McCaffrey made his plays. That's why y'all the number one seed. But I think Green Bay made a couple of critical errors that really going forward on fourth down with a rushed quarterback sneak that really could have, um, you know, then you had a little tipped interception, and I thought then the dude missed a very makeable field goal that really could have put them up seven. And of course, now if they're up seven, they play you differently than if they got to get a touchdown to beat us. So hey man, y'all won it, and I think pretty much y'all might be in the Super Bowl because I don't know. I think you were a better team than the Lions, but you still got to play. But anyway, getting back to we'll get to that game here in just a minute. So anyway, the first game was Houston and Baltimore, which I felt like with the weather, I felt like Baltimore was the better team, but they needed to prove it. I felt like they needed to prove it because they've had good seasons before and had not been able to cash that in with postseason success. Kind of like sounds like a team over in East Dallas, East Texas, don't it? But their approach to the thing is different, and we'll tell you why here in just a minute. So so yeah, that game was played pretty much to a stalemate in the first half, and I know Houston had a punt return, I think, that kind of tied the game up, made it 10-10 going into the half, and I think it was very much said that Lamar Jackson went into the um, locker room and unleashed a tirade of expletives that, guy, y'all got to MF and play better and all this kind of stuff. We got to do, man. We the Baltimore Ravens. We the number one seed. We got home court all throughout home field, all throughout this, playoffs, and we got to play better. Starts with me. We got to, we got to execute. We got to, in the second half. In the second half, I feel like Lamar Jackson played like, he, might be, the MVP. Let's give you his stats for today. I'll give them to you right here because I got them right here. Let's see here. Lamar Jackson was 16 of 22, 152 yards, throwing 2 touchdowns, never put the ball in harm's way. And I think he missed on a touchdown throw that probably could have got picked early, throwing it to Lively. Lively told him to get that thing up. The next time he had an opportunity to him in the red zone, threw it up high. He went up high, pointed it, got the ball. That was one of his 2 touchdown throws. Then also what makes Lamar great is that he's also good with the ball tucked under his arm as he is, patting it. And my pad keeps falling here. No, he's not falling again. Butt up here. But he was 11 carries, 100 yards, and 2 more touchdowns. So those kind of stats right there is why he'll probably win the MVP. And he played like it. But in the second half, and even though Houston played well in the first half, and I know, and even though C.J. Stroud is a great young quarterback, and I think he's going to do some great things in the NFL if he's able to keep his offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, who's been looking at a couple of jobs, he will continue to get better. But second half, Baltimore figured out that, hey, we're the best defense in the NFL. And they played like they were the best defense in the NFL, and they pretty much shut Houston down. Sacks, I think Singletary had like a 16, 17-yard run, but other than that, they, in the second half, but they really couldn't get the ball running at all, shut that down, and pretty much had C.J. Stroud under duress all that second half. But what I liked about how Baltimore played is that they were is how well they, executed, the game plan, especially in the second half, defensively and offensively. Because for the most part, it looks like Baltimore, I think, scored on pretty much every drive they had in the second half. Because I think they only had 10 and they scored 24. So I think they scored 34. But they scored like 24 points in the second half. And they pretty much shut down everything that Houston was doing. And so it got me to thinking. And as I was watching Baltimore, and the reason I picked out Baltimore first is because Baltimore seemed as though a team that really, if you look at their last 5 years, you look at our last 5 years and their last 5 years, you're talking about from 2019 to now, that's 5 years, right? Their record over those 5 years is comparable to ours. They've been to the playoffs about just as many times, have missed it a couple times. I think they've won 34. No, they've won 40. I think they've won 50 wins. We've had 50 wins. I think they've got 54 wins over those past 5 years. Okay. And pretty much did the same thing in the postseason. They went to the postseason in 2019, 14-2, number 1 seed, one and done. 2020, 11-6, like the 5th seed or something in there. Went to Tennessee, who I think was the 1st seed, got the win, lost to Buffalo in the division round, 2 and done. Okay. 21, missed the playoffs, went 8-9. That's comparable to our 19. We went 8-8. Okay. 22, I think they went 10-7, went to the playoffs, one and done, lost to Cincinnati, Lamar Jackson got hurt midway through the season, didn't play the last 5 games as they haggling over his contract demands. Finished up the season with Hundley. Hundley fumbled going into the end zone, and I think the Bengals ran it back all the way. That was the difference in the ball game. They were one and done. So this year, after last year, they made changes, even though they were about just like us, one and done, win a game, one and done, and that sort of thing. But you know what the difference between the Baltimore Ravens is and the Dallas Cowboys? Other than you might say, well, they got a more talented team. Well, yeah, I mean, defensively, yes. But the Ravens got a culture, for one thing. You know, it tells you in the thing. I've heard Shannon Sharp say it many times. When you come out of the locker room, it says on the thing, play like a Raven. And so they've got a style, they've got a culture, and what they you don't let that standard down. So it's like it's a certain way you play, it's a certain heart and determination you play with, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, even though they had some postseason success, they weren't comfortable with it. They weren't content with it. And how do I know that? Well, because after the 2022 season, even though they had one of the better defenses in the NFL over those 5 years, they parted ways with Wink Martindale, who was like a great defensive coordinator, and a lot of the defensive players on Baltimore had great success under him. But hey, we keep going one and done, and whatever, a two and done, and we want better than that. So we got to shake this thing up. Okay, they didn't stand pat with what they got, thinking, oh yeah, we're making the playoffs every year, we're good. No, they sent Wink Martindale packing, and they went and got I think Mike McDaniel was McDonald's. I'm sorry. I think he was a co-defensive coordinator or something at Michigan or something like that. I think that's where he had been or something like that. If y'all correct me in the chat if I'm wrong on that. But they brought him in, and last year they did some things better. But, of course, they lost Lamar Jackson and whatnot. And this year, at the end of last year, they decided, hey, we're done with Greg Roman. Greg Roman's the dude that brought in the whole offense that took in all of the attributes of Lamar Jackson and made him like a weapon. But it's like our offense has gotten stale. It's not growing. It's not getting to anything. We're losing first round in the playoffs. We got to shake things up. And they sent Greg Roman packing. Okay? Sent Greg Roman packing. Brought in Todd Monken from Georgia, a breath of fresh air, a new way of looking at the offense, a new set of plays, a new schematic, a different formations and different schemes, different things, and they made those decisions to shake this thing up, even though the things that they were doing before were successful. This is what they did. This year they were 13-4. Okay. Last year they were 10-7. The year before they were 8-9. The year before that it was 11-6. The year before that they were 14-2. So over that span of time, I did the math. And I don't know where I did with my numbers, but they won I think like 54 games in 5 years. 23, 8, 31. The last 3 years they won 31. We won 36. Okay. So we won more games than them the last 3. But the first 2, they won 25. So 25 and 31, I think it was at 56. We won 56 and we won 50, okay? Because the first year is the last year of Jason Garrett's reign where we went 8-8. And then, of course, we had the COVID year in 2020, and we only went 6-10, lost Dak 4th game of the season, whichever it was, and we ended up going 6-10. And that kind of skewed it. We might have won 3 or 4 more games that year, and we might have had like the same record. But our records over the last 5 years are comparable to each other. But what I'm saying is the approach that the Baltimore Ravens used is like they weren't comfortable with where they were. We're good. We can be better. We like Greg Roman, but we feel like our offense has plateaued. We can get better. Our defense is good with Wink Martindale, but it has plateaued. We can get better. okay? And they made those changes. We went 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, one and done, two and done, one and done. And we brought back the same players, same coaches. Now, let me tell you what else the Ravens do that we don't do. They go in all three areas in the area of player acquisition. They draft well. You know, they went out and drafted Tyler Lindenbaum, the center, a guy we wanted. We ended up with Tyler Smith. That's fine. That's about even. They also go out and they get Justin Bateman, Rashad Bateman. That's his name. Justin Bateman's an actor. And also Kyle Hamilton. You know, this year, you know, they're very good at the draft thing. All right, but they also go out and get free agents. They went out and got Roquan Smith. Okay, and who made some great tackles and stuff yesterday, okay, and played the run extremely well. And they drafted Patrick Queen as well, okay. So they draft well, and they made trades, and they got free agents. They also got Odell Beckham, and they went and picked up Dalvin Cook, a guy we could have had and we could have used, okay. But we like our guys, all right. Here you have an organization that has success, but do not fail to look under every rock to prove that they can get better. You look at another team, and it's like, we're good with what we got. We're still making money. We're still making headlines. We're getting the playoffs. Fans are selling out. We're good. We'll just keep this thing as is. We don't want to upset the apple cart. And if we don't start upsetting the apple cart, we're going to continue to get the same things we've been getting. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. But the Ravens, you know, are on their way. They won 34-10, and are on their way to the AFC Championship game next week at Baltimore Stadium. I don't know what their stadium is called. Is it Bank Stadium, something like that? It's something like that. And so that's you know that's my take on that. But I was just liking how well, and it's not just that, when they get on the field, it's like they're well executed. It's like they, you know, the game plan is solid. It's like it's like they not just satisfied that they're in the playoffs. No, we're trying to win, and we're gonna execute, and we're gonna go through the details, offensively and defensively, that will allow us the opportunities to win, and that's what they did. All right, and so they find themselves in the AFC Championship game. So second game I ended up watching yesterday was the Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers. Another well-played, well-executed game by two superior teams with two excellent game planning coaches. Okay. And in that game, you barely saw guys running wide open with 15 yards of separation. I do know that one guy for the Packers, was it just Jalen Reed got one that was wide open and he almost dropped it, but that might have been the only time. But for the most part, that game was well executed. And when you saw our game, you saw how Jordan Love had all these throws wide open in the middle of the field. And you saw how the 49ers shut that down, made him have to go other places. Don't get me wrong, they still played well. And it was surprising that Aaron Jones ran the ball down their throats as well. And I was talking to the Niner fan that was on it. They really outplayed the 49ers, right? Because, you know, they had a couple of plays early where I think it was I think it might have been 6-3 or 6. Was it 6? It was 3-0, and it could have been 6-0 had they not elected. They could have kicked the field goal, made it 6-0, or they could have chosen another play on their quarterback sneak. And I thought that play too, because Aaron Jones had just ran a halfback like up the middle for like 2.5 yards on a 3rd and 3. And I went to grab something, and I saw the refs measuring, and I was like, "Oh, what are they measuring for?" He was obviously short. I didn't realize that they had, after that play, they had rushed the quarterback sneak in there, and they was measuring after the 4th down play. This lets you know how quick they rushed that play in there, and he got stuffed. Jordan Love sort of kind of like went to the side, and he should have went to the right and kind of slid in between. There was room in there, and he got stuffed in there. And I saw it. I said, watch the 49ers go right down, take that momentum that they gained from that fourth down stop and go right down the field. And they went right down the field. Brock Purdy, the George Kittle, touchdown, and now it's 7-3. And then, of course, they went back and forth and back and forth. And I thought that there was another play late in the game that I thought it was a fumble that I thought on a pitch that Aaron Jones took his eyes off of. I think that kind of helped the 49ers stay in the game as well. And then the kicker, I can't think of what his name is off the top of my head, but he missed a makeable. I think it was like a 38, 39, 40-yard field goal. They could have put the Green Bay Packers up 7, but it only put them up, kept them at 3. And it was 20. Yeah, and then the 49ers came down, and what it looked like to me, the Green Bay Packers let McCaffrey score there because it was less than them. It was getting towards a minute left in the game, and if they let them squeeze the clock all the way down, they want to leave them some time where they could, get their, team on the field. The 49ers was down 4. I think it was 21-17, and they got the little 3.5-3-yard run by McCaffrey to make it 24-21. And then Jordan Love did what you would think, young quarterbacks always do. He made one grave mistake, rushed out to his right, threw against his body, threw into triple coverage trying to get to Christian Watson. And it's interesting that the interception was made by Dre Greenlaw, number 57. The first interception he threw was a tip drill where he was trying to throw it to, I want to say it was Musgrave, I think. Threw it slightly behind him, got tipped way in the air. Usually when balls are tipped way in the air like that, they come down. Somebody's going to come down with that, But the 2 interceptions were made by who? Made by was the same dude, by a linebacker. Okay, what does that tell us? That linebackers matter. They matter in this whole scheme of things. It matters, and when you're playing and you're scheming and you playing defense against another high-level team, you need linebackers. We thought linebackers were expendable. We can just put any dude that hadn't played linebacker in his life at linebacker, and we should be able to hold up in the playoffs against high-level teams. How arrogant were we to think we could do that? Okay? How arrogant were we to think we could just run Marquise Bell out there at linebacker at 205 pounds? That we seen in that game, Dre Greenlaw make 2 plays. In addition to that, made some dynamic plays in the run game to stop drives by the linebacker, a position that we don't hold a whole lot of value in. Okay? All right. Dre Greenlaw made both of those interceptions, and that interception that saved the game, that pushed the 49ers into the NFC Championship game. But at the end of the day, that was a game where both teams had to go to their second and third options in order to play because their first and second options were taken away. It was almost as if these 2 teams and the players went to bed with their playbooks and their game plans in their laps when they slept with them, instead of just reading the Cliff Notes version, which is what we seem to do. It's almost like we're allergic to preparation, allergic to game planning, allergic to being prepared. Okay. When was the last time you saw a Cowboys game and you were like, man, they look like the most prepared team on the field? They looked like they knew what this other team was going to do. Or did it look like we might have been just the most talented team on the field? And I'll let you ask that. And then when you go through and you look at all these games, and then we get the 49ers played that game, and they won. They go to the NFC Championship game. And then, of course, the game today, we watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers face the Detroit Lions. It was another well-played game. I thought that even though I thought that the Buccaneers were overmatched talent-wise to the Lions, I thought Todd Bowles had his team well prepared. I think the Lions made a few plays here and there, made some throws down the stretch. Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery made some good runs. Ben Johnson had some good play calls. He went sometime at second and third options. Amon-Ra St. Brown made some nice catches, made some clutch catches to keep drives going. But I thought that the Buccaneers played well enough that they could have won that game, even playing with Baker Mayfield, because they were a prepared team. Okay, and I thought Mike Evans, and you saw the Detroit Lions, even though they had a suspect secondary, you saw time after time Baker Mayfield was having to throw to, what's that tight end's name, number 88, because Mike Evans was being covered, even though Mike Evans even it still caught like 5 for what did he catch? I'll tell you right here. I got my stats right here. Mike Evans had 8 catches for 147 yards and a touchdown. But a lot of times he was double and triple covered, and Baker Mayfield had to go to an outlet, had to throw in the flat, and so and so to number 88 to other guys, throw to Rashad White. He had to make, but that's what, when a team is game plan for you, sometimes you got to go to your second and third option. Okay. And so that's what well-prepared teams do. And I think the only bad thing I thought Tampa Bay did, I thought they shouldn't have went for 2 on their last touchdown. I'm like, you trying to cut it to 7. Why would you go for 2 there? You just make it 31-24, and then they got the ball back. And all they need to do is score a touchdown and tie the game up. But see, they was going to have to score a touchdown and hopefully get a 2-point conversion. That's why I don't understand. Sometimes we let analytics get in the way of just good common horse sense, right? But what I want to say about that game is just how well executed that game was, both offensively and defensively by both of those teams. You didn't see guys running wide open. You saw good plays. Guys make runs. Guys wasn't, usually guys weren't breaking 4-5 tackles. It was well executed, and it was a good football game. It was a 1-score game, and so that just lets me know that those teams deserve to be in that game. All right. And then, of course, the game culminated, the weekend culminated with the game that we just watched about an hour and a half ago with the Chiefs eking out a win, much to my chagrin. Those that watched my Pick'em show, and we want to, thank a lot of people because we have more viewership on our Pick'em show than probably we done had in the last 4 shows. And we thank everybody for watching us pick our games and that sort of thing, and all of those people that watched it. But I picked the Buffalo Bills because I thought Kansas City did not have enough firepower to beat the Bills. But what did it come down to late in the game? Patrick Mahomes made a play or two, but it came down to the execution of Andy Reid. Because not only do they have the best player in the league in Patrick Mahomes, I believe they got the best play caller in the league in Andy Reid. Did you see in the last couple of possessions, what did the Chiefs do? They were running the ball, but they weren't lining up in our formation, just running it up the middle like we do with Tony Pollard. I saw a couple of times Creed Humphrey, who's the center, come out and come around and lead. And there was nice runs that they was getting on Buffalo. Creativity in the play calling, preparation in the game plan. These kind of things. Why can't we do that? Why can't our coaches come up with game plans like that? And you could be low level and say, man, if we just had Patrick Mahomes, you think that couldn't have handed off to Isaiah Pacheco and Tyler Biadasz pull and on a running play? But no, we don't have that kind of creativity. What are we doing in our game planning? That's what you got to start asking yourself. Dak can't hand off to a running back. We can't get motion in our offensive line to get the defense off balance. We can't do that. Yeah, we can do it. We just won't do it. We don't commit to it. We commit to doing the same thing over and over again, running the same plays over and over again, and we get the same results. And so when I watch these games, I see how creative Andy Reid is in the run game, because Patrick Mahomes didn't do a lot. He didn't dot the I's that many times today. He didn't put the ball in harm's way. But did you see how creative the run game was? The play calling. Now, I thought he got a little ahead of himself running that play to Mecole Hardman, and where it resulted in a fumble and it went out of the end zone. But, I mean, it was creative. And if he just held on to the football, they probably win by a couple of touchdowns. But it just lets you know coaching matters. It ain't just having players. Coaching matters. Being prepared matters. The details matter. Understanding your opponent and game planning for them, that stuff matters. Why it don't matter in our organization is beside me. It don't matter. It's like, dude, we just gonna go out and go play. Okay, here we go. We're just gonna go play. Yeah, but you're running the same plays we ran in the regular season, not thinking that the other team may not a game plan for that. So every play that you run, you ought to have 3 or 4 counters to run off of that play. That if they cover that, I gotta. Oh yeah, they covering the arrow route. I'm gonna cut back to this play, and it's going. But we don't do that. We run the same play and wonder why it's not working. Like they don't study film. These are the things that when I'm watching those games, I'm looking at it like, gee, why can't we do that? What's our problem? What's wrong with our organization? Why don't Jerry and Steven and Will, why don't they see that? Why don't we hire people that can do that kind of thing for our offense? Hire guys that are multiple in their defense like those guys were. Why can't we hire a Mike McDonald to run our defense? Why can't we hire Steve Wilks? You see how well the San Francisco defense played yesterday? And even John Barry, I think that's his name, whose defense was maligned. I think they were 25th in the league. You see how well they played the 49ers yesterday? They had Brock Purdy shook, okay? But they game planned for them and made them have to they had to, win that by the skin of their teeth. What would they have won that by had we went into Santa Clara on that game? Would have been 38-7, maybe, because any play they would have ran got 20 yards. Oh my gosh, and just for those people that think I'm just blowing smoke and I'm just saying I'm just beating up the Cowboys, I always harken back to that Thanksgiving game back in 2021. Always come back to that game. Playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, I think we're down 6 or something in the game. It's late in the third quarter. Raiders got a second or third down and goal at like the 2-yard line. They take Derek Carr out. They bring Mariota in behind center. I'm sitting on my couch. Oh, they're bringing in Mariota. Okay, guys, watch for the zone read because it's obviously they're going to run something different, or they would have just left Carr in there if they're just going to run it to Jacobs or do something, whatever. They would keep Jacobs in there. Watch for the zone read. Watch for the zone read. I'm screaming that from my couch. Watch for the zone read. They bringing Mariota in. Marcus Mariota. They bringing in Mariota. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs as if they could hear me. Obviously, they're in Dallas. I'm here on my couch in North Alabama. They can't hear me. Watch for the zone read. Watch for the zone read. What does Mariota do? Puts the ball in Jacobs' stomach, pulls it out, walks into the end zone. Almost like the Cowboys didn't know. Oh, my God, he runs that play? And I'm sitting there like, did y'all even pick up a playbook? Did y'all even study their personnel groupings? And those are the kind of things I be talking about. The simple things, the details. Can you just do the details? Can you go through the details? And I'm ranting right now because it's like I'm tired of seeing us fall for the banana in the tailpipe every time people run. It's like we didn't know that they could do certain things. Gee, I didn't know Jameson Williams runs the 9 route. That's the only route he runs right now. And I be dadgummit Bland didn't think he was he's going to cut one way down. No, he ran right by you for like a 60-yard pass. That's what he does. You should have been prepared for that. But we weren't. How many times did we get caught with our pants down in plays? It's like we didn't know they was gonna run that. Or we don't know the personalities of they run this kind of defense. We never go under those kind of details. And even though our team is talented, when we go up against well-coached teams, we always come up short. And it's bigger than that's not the guy. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Nobody on the organization is the guy. Jerry's not the guy. Steven's not the guy. Mike's not the guy. Quinn's not the guy. Nobody's the guy. It's more than that. Everybody's not the guy. Nobody's doing their job at the best they can of their ability. But it's easy to bring, well, that just don't come. Yeah, but how well is everybody else playing? The only time I've seen Dak not play well and it led to us losing was last year in the 49ers game because he didn't play well, and I thought the defense played well enough for us to win. But every other game we played in the playoffs, I thought he played well enough if the defense would have showed up or we don't jump off sides on 3rd and 5. We might have won that game. The Rams game back in 2019, Dak threw for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't think he turned it over once, but the defense gave up almost 300 yards rushing. It's like you can't get both things to match, So I hate to be belly aching here, but when I see good teams play well, it just makes me, I'm not envious, but it's like, damn, why can't we do that? Yeah, they had us. Yeah, they had us. But you know what? That just shows championship type medal for them to come back and win. Cowboy Nation. Did you hear what happened in Dallas today, Uncle Fred? Oh, was there something I missed? Please, pray tell. Pray tell, Cowboy Danny in the house. What okay, Dallas Cowboy. What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? Exactly. I can tell you. Can I tell you why? What happened? Tell me. Hope you're doing well, Uncle Fred. Yeah, DC4. Yeah, I'm DC4L all the way. Wants his brother. Oh, yeah. I know that. Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Yeah. But families, and also Micah's fathers, is talking, and CD's mama is talking, and I want to say Dak's brother, because it's a lot. Look, man, that loss is a lot of heat being thrown in that, and because we lost that game, right? My bad, man. I'm getting the thing come a little off the rails here, man. That stuff just pisses me off when I see how well other teams are ran, and we just kind of like, well, we'll just get it next time. And I'm like, no, we ain't getting it next time. We can get it this time. And I'm like, and so when I come to the conclusion, like, dang, did we even belong in the playoffs to start with? It's almost like the Super Bowl was just getting to the playoffs, and even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were 9-8 played well enough today that they could have won that game, and gone to the NFC Championship game. And they weren't a great team this year, but but they put their time and sweat equity into their preparation. The lunatic. This attitude goes throughout the organization. As Jalen said, if the owner don't sweat it, neither do we. Wow. That's disappointing. Okay. The only way that this going to make a difference, if it starts making a difference in the bottom line, like, what is it, 95, 96,000, 97,000 in AT&T Stadium? If it starts being, I don't know, 84,000, maybe merchandising sales go down like 8%, 7%. Think that might get somebody's attention? Okay. My whole point is getting Dak out of Dallas, Uncle Fred. What you think? Oh, think he'd do better somewhere else? I think he would do better somewhere else, but but I think the next guy you bring in is going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing because you've not changed anything. You're just changing, the little interchangeable parts. Okay. You don't change the pressure that gets put on them. You don't change that you don't game plan well. You don't change that your coaches don't coach well. You don't change any of that thing. You just put another quarterback in there with a guy that coaches from the 1990s. Because when you look at how innovative the coaching was in those 4 games, the way we run our offense ain't on the same level with them. Let's be honest with ourselves. When you saw how innovative Ben Johnson was with that Detroit offense, the misdirection and the motion that the guys was running and that kind of stuff that shifted, and even with the Buffalo game, even though they lost, there was one of the plays on a 4th down. They ran the little guy, and I think it was Shakur before he got hurt, ran him in motion, ran a little orbit motion, went one way, and then turned around at the snap, went back the other way, and he was wide open. It was quicker than the deep. We would never run a play like that. that gets the defense off balance. We were just running straight out of I formation, off tackle left, and it would get stopped in the backfield. We'd be giving the ball up. And it's like with the talent we have, our coaching and our preparation should be better. And it's not, and if you put any other quarterback in there, it's going to be the same thing because you calling antiquated, unimaginative plays, offensively and defensively. They never adjusted when Buffalo was running 12 personnel. We were running six defensive backs out there. Never adjusted. You know, those are the kind of things we got to start looking at. Like, what are we paying these coaches to do? Just to stand on the sideline and hold a clipboard? Or are they prepping the guys all the times, and the times that they're not playing? What are you teaching the guys? What plays are you going over? What formations are you going over? What game plans are you going over? Did you study the film on the other play? What are their tendencies? What did they do on 3rd and 7 out of this formation? What are they running? Because that's what the other teams are doing. And it's evident to me, now you guys might see something different, we're not doing those things. And like I said, it's easy, low hanging to just say, well, Dak's he's not seeing the field well. No, he's not seeing the field because even on the pick 6 that he threw, you got 2 receivers in the same area. Well, one dude came off of Cooks and intercepted it. He shouldn't even be that close to Cooks. But the design of the play ran 2 slants 5 yards from each other, where one dude could come off the other dude and pick the ball off. Why is not this guy over on this side of the field and this guy on that side of the field? You do know when you bring 2 receivers, you bring the guys that cover them in the same area. Bad play design. You never saw that with Kansas City today. Where you saw Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce running the routes in the same area, or what's the other kid's name? Hardeman. When you saw them do that, because Andy Reid don't run his stuff that antiquated. That's the stuff that I'll be upset about. Is that we as fans we deserve better than that. I think the players deserve better than that, and they getting the blunt of it. Jerry ain't feeling none of that. He in his suite. You don't feel none of that. And that right there said it all, the lunatic. Everybody knows Mike is going to be a lame duck this year because you didn't give him a contract extension. Not that I thought he deserved it, okay? Let's just keep this thing a beam. He didn't deserve an extra a year because that horse bleep that we seen in the playoff game didn't deserve it. He shouldn't even went back to the team hotel or whatever after that game. He should have been made to walk. Him and Dan Quinn should have been thumbing rides. Okay? After that horse, I'm not saying the other way because kids might want to watch the video. I'm not getting into that. But he's basically a lame duck. All right? And what's the defense? So are we gonna play differently on defense next year? We're gonna start bringing linebackers in so we can cover things now, make tackles now in the run game. Stopping the run is gonna be an important component about defense now. If Quinn comes back, why couldn't we scrap it let's go get us a Mike McDonald. Go get that dude. No, we're gonna go with the dude we already got. We're gonna keep what we got. I wouldn't mind if we went and got Wink Martindale. At least he's going to change the things up and have some exotic blitz packages. Did we not get a single pressure on Jordan Love last Sunday? Not a single one. That dude's jersey was as clean as mine is, and I'm not even wearing one. All right? I got to bring it down, son. Got to bring it down. Bring it down. Woosah. Woosah. I got to bring it down. Bring it down. This team, but that's how passionate I am about the Cowboys. And that it's just like if you have kids. I don't know if any of you guys got kids. And if you got a kid and he's smart enough to get A's and he's just getting by with a C+ or C-, and he's better than that. He can get better than that. But he don't study. He just wakes up and takes the test and gets a 77 and he's happy. I got a 77. I'm like, yeah, you could have got a 97 if you'd applied yourself. That's how I feel about the Cowboys. Yeah, we 12-5. That's fine. But then when we went to take the final exam, we didn't study for it. We felt like what we did in the regular part of the course, that we got points for that on the final. And you don't get points for that on the final. You starting from scratch. You starting at zero. And it's almost like we didn't know that. Ahai. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm glad for the Lions too, man. That's an organization that really they were ran just as bad as we were. It's just that they didn't have talent and they didn't have the pedigree or the whatever what do you want to call it, the fanfare that we have. But we ran just as bad as them. It's just that we had some good players that come through there that saved us from when we ran just as bad. But the Lions had some bad. And they had an 0-16 season for Christ's sake. And that's I'm glad to see them get on the other side. I want Jim Harbaugh to coach our Dallas Cowboys. I wouldn't mind having Jim Harbaugh. I know one thing: Jim Harbaugh you're not gonna influence Jim Harbaugh on what he's calling. Uncle Fred, are you saying that Jerry Jones influences the play calling? I'm not saying that, but I will say this: people was all up and down about getting Kellen Moore out of the building, but I'll be damn if the game plan in the playoff this year didn't look eerily similar than the game plan that we had last year with Kellen Moore. So that tells me that somebody that was here before Mike McCarthy was calling plays is influencing the game planning. And I'm starting to think that we only run plays that Jerry understands how they work. I know that's a little far-fetched. I know. That's a little far-fetched. I know. Yeah, please share. The lunatic, man. I appreciate that, man. But I'm gonna try to keep it. I'm gonna try to stay. I'm gonna try to keep my blood pressure down. All right, I'm gonna try. Y'all help me with that. Yeah. I'm gonna try to keep it down. Andy Reid, head coach for Dallas Cowboys. Ain't no way in heck I'm gonna leave. Not that look, man. I'm not kicking Dak Prescott and while he's down. But man, if you had Patrick Mahomes, you had that golden goose. Why would you ever leave that dude? When that dude hangs it up, I'm retiring too. If I'm Andy Reid, when Patrick Mahomes hangs it up, I'm retiring too. He got, he found the fountain of youth at his old age. What is he, like 65, 66 or something like that? Don't he look like he could coach 10 more years? Yeah, he got number 15 behind him, in front of him, he's allowed to coach. He's allowed to run plays that may seem a little aggressive, a little out there. I mean, that little ring around the rosies thing they ran a couple of years ago, that was still, I'm like, God, I can't believe he ran that. They came out of huddle and they were kind of going around in a circle, but that's the creative mind. He's just got a creative mind, man. And he allows his players to come in like, okay, y'all got some ideas? Okay. And they come up with things that are innovative, things that you didn't see in the scouting report. That's why they're successful. But you have to have creative license to be able to go and do those kind of things. And I don't think Jerry gives Mike. I don't think he gave Jason. I don't think he gave none of those coaches, whether it was them. What's the granddad's name? Wade Phillips. I don't think he gave any of those dudes creative license to just look, man, just go and I'll get out the way. No, I think Jerry wants to have approval on everything they run. And that's why, maybe they don't get as much done because everything Jerry's in New York this week. So we gotta hold up on installing this until Jerry sees it so he can approve it. I know, I'm reaching. 77. What's 77? I always get an A in class for television production, Uncle Fred. That's my major in Santa Monica College. I will graduate in January 2025. Come for my graduation. Santa Monica, California, huh? Well, I've been there before. That's a heck of a plane trip. No more tomato can teams like last year. Think that the Bulls will win another 12 game regular season. I don't know, man, because you never know, man. Because a lot of games, a lot of seasons. Like I'll give you an example. We won the division in 2021, and we played a first place schedule in 2022, and we got Cincinnati the second game of the season. But it was also a game that Joe Burrow was coming off an appendectomy, and he wasn't himself. Okay, so yeah, we end up playing Cincinnati. That we didn't play. Joe Burrow was probably like 75%, and we end up winning that game. But if you're telling me that if we get a Joe Burrow that's middle of the season with all of his faculties in store, Joe Burrow, would we have won that game? All I'm saying is that sometimes we see the games on paper, you have no idea, like when you end up playing them, what's actually happened. Say, for instance, we may play the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson may have just gotten hurt the week before. Or maybe Roquan Smith has gotten a pulled hamstring. He had to miss that game. So you never know when you play that team, which team you're getting when you're playing them and stuff like that. But on paper, yeah, that's a very tough schedule because the AFC North was the best division in the NFL because all four teams won more than 9 games. 9 games or better. Because even Cincinnati, who missed the playoffs, won 9 games. And the Steelers won 10 games and went to the playoffs. And the Cleveland Browns won 11 games and went to the playoffs. And Baltimore won 13 games and was the number 1 seed. That's the division we got to play next year. Okay. And, and probably because we played Pittsburgh at home last time we played them in 2020, we'll probably play at Pittsburgh and we'll probably play at Cleveland. Because we got Pittsburgh and Cleveland at home. We were at Cincinnati. We won that game, and we were at Cincinnati, and we were at Baltimore. Were we at Baltimore? Might have been at Baltimore. Yeah, we might have been at Baltimore and at Baltimore and at Cincinnati. And I think we had Pittsburgh and Cleveland at home because that's the Baker Mayfield thing where we had them like 3rd and 15 and they let Odell Beckham run for 50 yards all the way across the field and nobody stopped him. Yeah, I don't know why I remember these random plays in games like that. Gregory Williams. This is Greg from Cleveland. This is G. Will from Cleveland. Thank you for the line shout out. This ain't G. Will. This ain't my boy G. Will, is it? That ain't my homeboy, my ace boom G. Will from Cleveland. I'm wondering, Devo, you are a Cowboy fan? Yes, I am a Cowboy fan. Yeah, you can laugh or whatever, but yeah, I am a Cowboy fan, Devo. Yes. We played at New England. Yes, that was the throw-in game because remember we went to a 17-game schedule back in 2021, I think. We went to a 17-game schedule, and they had to throw an extra game in there. So what they did, each team played one team from a division in the opposite conference. So we played New England. I think Philadelphia played. I want to say they played. Did they play the Jets or Buffalo? They might have played Buffalo, I think. And I know that this particular year, our extra game was the Chargers. The Philadelphia's extra game was the Kansas City Chiefs. You notice they didn't play no other games from the AFC West, so that's the extra game because the league mandated we play 17 games. So it was a nice even number, 16 games. 32 teams, 16 games, nice even number, but they had to throw the 17 game in there. So, that's kind of how that thing went. So yeah. So I don't know if that's the same. I got to go back to this thing here. Gregory Williams. I don't know if that's my boy G. Will from because he's off from Michigan, and that's like one of my homeboys, friends for like 35 years. And I know he from Michigan, but he lives in Cleveland. What's going on, Greg? Man, how did you know I was on, man? Who told you I was on? Sorry to hear I'm a Cowboy fan. Yeah, it's a curse, man. It's a curse. It's a curse. We played Jets. We played the Jets and Buffalo. Yeah, this year. This year we did. Yes, and New England. We played the AFC West this year. AFC East this year. But I know back in 2021 we played New England also. Do you remember that epic game? Dak hit CeeDee Lamb on that 35-yard pass. He hurt his calf. That was the only game we played against them, but that was the extra game. But we played the AFC East this year, the whole division. But the throw-in game was the Chargers game, which was the AFC West. That's what I was saying. They had to throw an extra game in there. So that's all I'm saying. But anyway, man. But yeah, I'm just watching the and so for those that just joined in the chat, we're not going to be on much longer. Like I said, I just felt like talking. I watched some good football today with 8 good teams that deserve to be in the second round. You might say a team like Houston, a team like Tampa Bay, man, didn't deserve to be in the second round because they were 10. What were they? 10-7 and 9-8, and here we are winning 12 games. But they played in the playoffs like they belonged in the playoffs. Okay, they didn't get. Now you might say Houston got, but that was just a second half, and it is Houston. Baltimore's just a much better team than Houston. But for a half, they hung right there with them because their organization is put together right. They got a good head coach, a heck of a play caller. They got a stud at quarterback. They got a good defense, and they just young enough to not know that they're not supposed to be there. Same thing with Green Bay. And they played as though they deserved to be there. Okay. Yeah, and I talked about the Chiefs just a little while ago, Cowboy Daddy, that I thought I thought that they played like how a championship team would play with a championship quarterback, a championship head coach, and a championship organization. I didn't think Patrick Mahomes did a whole lot. He had a nice run early in the game where he went down the sideline and they thought he went out of bounds. I think he got like 35, 40 yards on that run. But he'll make a play like that every now and then. But when the game was in the balance, I thought Andy Reid went in his bag of play calling. And he said, I'm gonna run the football, but I'm not gonna just run it out of I formation. I'm gonna pull my center, I'm gonna pull my guards, I'm gonna pull my tackles, I'm gonna misdirection, I'm gonna pull the guy back this way, run the guy in behind that. That creativity is, I'm telling you, those are the things that when you got a guy like Andy Reid, that's the difference. We wouldn't hire a guy like Andy Reid because we would try to muzzle him. We would try to control him. We try to get in his playbook and no, we don't want that play. Call that one. And no, you got guys like that. You got to let them do their thing. You got to let them, and Andy Reid, I don't care what nobody says. I think Andy Reid is the best play caller in the book. Probably the best play caller we've had in the last 20 years. Okay. Give Dak Prescott Andy Reid and the creativity. And you wouldn't be saying, get Dak out of here. You wouldn't be saying that. Now, could he run 45 yards down the sideline like Patrick Mahomes? No, he's not going to do that. Could he make some of the throws at Patrick Mahomes? No, but you best believe Andy Reid would have us in good plays, and he's not going to have CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks running essentially the same route on the same play. He's not going to do that because that's just not good football. That's I don't know, man. That's going to be good. I don't know. No, Greg, they wouldn't hire. They hired Mike McCarthy back, man. Yeah, they hired Mike McCarthy back. I made a comment earlier that Baltimore, a team just like the Cowboys, has had similar success in the postseason, had done well, had good regular season records, had kind of underachieved in the playoffs. But they didn't stand pat. They changed out both offensive and defensive coordinators in the last 2 years. Teams that had gotten them, guys that had gotten them in the playoffs. Okay, You know, they got rid of Greg Roman, got rid of Wink Martindale, and got new guys willing to change it up. We're just gonna go back with the same thing. You know, we're gonna go right back with Mike McCarthy, go right back with Dan Quinn, go right back with Dak Prescott. We're not changing anything. We're gonna go back with the same thing. Okay. And it all comes down to what I said. Anybody that says, yeah, he's not taking that job. Nobody wants that pressure, man. Nobody, no coach worth his salt that captains his own ship would ever coach the Cowboys. Because you don't get to captain your ship. You get to be micromanaged and get your fingernails examined by Jerry Jones. And you only get to call what he approves you calling. I know that's hard to prove, but yeah, man, that's but the Chiefs played like championship teams play, and like I said, Andy Reid is like my favorite coach in the NFL because I just think he's just brilliant. I think he's brilliant in two ways. Brilliant in that he'll come up with a formation or a play that you ain't never thought of. When you think every play that been seen before, he'll come up with something you ain't seen before. Okay, and then he allows his players, because sometimes the players got an idea. I'll give Mike McCarthy one thing. He allowed Brandon Cooks to call a play. It was a play I think we ran. I want to say it was maybe it was against the Commanders that he saw in his film study. He said, hey, I think this play right here will be open based on how they run that, how they cover that. And that was one of the touchdowns that Dak threw was to Cooks. So maybe, you know, he's not as bad off, but if you hear a lot of people in the Chiefs organization talk, they'll tell you a lot of times Patrick, Jason, Travis, some of them guys will have a play in mind. You know, a lot of them dudes play Madden. They got creative minds, and they'll say, hey, Andy, what you think about this? And they'll go into the thing in the dark room and draw it up and figure out ways it'll be successful. That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. And I can't be mad at them because I'm just envious and wish we could do that. I wish our guys had that kind of creative license. Andy Reid for Dallas Cowboys, Uncle for. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Mike McCarthy heading to Miami Dolphins next season. Bye-bye, Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, trash McCarthy, losing McCarthy. I mean, look, man. I don't think Mike McCarthy is trash. I just think, man, I don't think he knew what he was getting himself into. I just think that there's a lot of pressure that comes with being a Dallas Cowboy. From the external pressure, because we've got the biggest fan base. The franchise is worth 10, 11, 12 billion dollars. And then you get internal pressure from Jerry Jones. Like I said, it all starts with Jerry Jones being the GM. As long as that's going to be it's hard to overcome that, because it's like you don't have no checks and balances. I've said that 100,000 times. You don't have no checks and balances, because what's the boundary under which, if you did below that, you would fire everybody? And you don't, because even if we went 0-17, he would come to the press conference and him and haw and say, like, we're going to keep digging away at it. We just keep plugging away, and we'll get this thing figured out. No, we ain't going to get this thing figured out until you turn it over to a guy that will GM like his job depended on it. It's amazing when you know your job depended on it. Like, for instance, let me ask y'all something. Y'all work 9-to-5 jobs like me, right? If you your own boss and it didn't matter, and if you didn't get in trouble and you could come to work anytime you wanted to and you would never get in trouble, how many of y'all would be on time every day? I'm just wondering. How many of you would, like, if you knew, like, it don't matter what I do, I'm always got a job, how many of you guys would come to work on time every day? But if you know that if I'm late 3 times in a week or 3 times in a whatever period of time, we'll get rolled up, that kind of gives you some act right. Jerry don't have no act right, because he knows if the team performs poorly, he's always going to be GM. So what incentive does he have to make sure that the team perform to the level? What incentive does he have when the free agency comes out? Oh, I better get some players. Like I can't think what's is it DeCastro? Is that his name? That's the GM for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, I better go get OBJ. I better go get Roquan Smith. I better go get what's the guy? Dalvin Cook, because I know we got a good team, but if I sprinkle in a few more free agents, it'll make an even better team. What is the guy in San Francisco, John Lynch? Even though we got a championship level team, I'm gonna go add Christian McCaffrey because they went to the NFC Championship game without Christian McCaffrey. I'm gonna go get Chase Young. Okay, I'm gonna go get Javon Hargrave. Even though we already have been to the NFC Championship game 2 of the last 3 years. And we're still in the talent acquisition business. Nobody stands pat but us. And that's why I'm saying, why don't we see that? 49ers were within at the what's the guy's name? Jacosti Tart interception away from going to the Super Bowl in 2021. Y'all remember that? I think his name is Jacosti Tart, Tartt, a safety. Had a Matthew Stafford interception in his bread basket and dropped it, or they would have been going to the Super Bowl. And then the next year they go get Christian McCaffrey, and this year they go get Javon Hargrave. They go get Chase Young. They go get our old dude, Randy Gregory. They go get other guys. Okay. So are we even committed to winning? That's the question you got to ask yourselves. Are we even committed to it? Jerry overshadows the coach's authority due to these large payroll contracts, which the contract should be game result stats where wins are part of the equation. Look, Estrada, I like that and appreciate you joining because you was on our Pick'em show yesterday, man. Hey, man, I went 3-1 and TK went 4-0. And of course, he let me have it today. And he said, yeah, I'm going to talk about it on our show next week. Yeah, he got me, man. He went 4-0. He picked off 4 games. Well, I got one wrong. I got the Chiefs wrong. Although I thought, Patrick Mahomes is a better player. I just thought that, but I underestimated how good Andy Reid is. Andy Reid is better than Sean McDermott. And it's not even close, But they used to be on the same coaching staff, believe it or not, back in Philly. That's a trivia question right there. Maybe you didn't know, but anyway. Steven is mainly the decision maker, and he nearly came to blows with Daddy Jerry when he signed Primetime in '95. But you know what though? I ain't have a problem with him going and getting Primetime because it's like, okay, the 49ers got him. We're gonna go get him. At least he's trying to win games, and it didn't matter what it costs. But you got to understand, lunatic, that was before we had this thing called salary cap. Yeah. And you'd be interested to know who you think was one of the most prevalent guys that was pushing for the league to adopt a salary cap. I'll give you. We're gonna do the Jeopardy music. Dun 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 dun. Who y'all think was who's the most prevalent to the league to push for a salary cap? Yes, he wins. The lunatic wins. Yes, Jerry Jones was the precursor of his own demise. Why? Because he thought he was smart enough that he could do the same thing these other genius GMs could do. And if you made the money equal, then he could do the same thing that they could do. But you found out that the only thing we're just as equal to do on these other teams, I will give us credit for, we can draft with the best of them, right? I'll put our draft record against anybody's. We can draft with the best of them. But we fall short in those other areas, which is like trades and free agents. We don't do really many of them. That Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore thing was so daggum different than how we have moved as an organization. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I'm gonna wake up and that didn't happen. Okay, but you see, we made no free agent pickups. We didn't get, there was linebackers we could have got. There were wide receivers we could have got. There was cornerbacks we could have got. Like, nah, we're good enough. We're good enough. Not understanding that we're one of the top 3 teams in the NFC, and these other teams went and got additional players. Okay? They went and got additional players, and we didn't. We stood pat. So you gotta wonder, do we really care about winning, or do we just care about how much money we can generate? All right. Famous says that I can get 1,000 guys to coach these teams. Right. That's what he was going back and forth with Jimmy. Now I did hear. Now I don't know how much truth to that. This came from Mike Fisher. Like I said, Mike Fisher, I love him. On cowboysi.com. He's got a podcast and a YouTube channel. Like I said, I peruse a lot of cowboy content, people. So, that's, like I said, that's where I get a lot of my information from. I stay away from the 3 and the 4 letter networks. But he said that Jerry was at odds with Jimmy because Jimmy was kind of like hobnobbing with the Weavers family about the Jacksonville Jaguars job. But there was a startup franchise. Now I don't know how much truth there is to that because the Weavers no longer own the Jaguars. It's owned by a dude named Shah Khan. I think that's his name. And Jimmy could always deny that he ever did that. But that's his story. That Jerry was upset that Jimmy was had gotten tired of the grind and was wanting a new challenge and was wanting to start the new, because they got, what's his name? What's the coach who used to coach the Giants? He was their first coach. Won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. God, I can't think of his name. He was their first coach. But he reported that Jimmy was really going back and forth with them when the Weavers wanted to talk to our offensive coordinator, and Tom Coughlin. Yeah, there you go, Tom Coughlin. They end up hiring Tom Coughlin. But the Wayne Weaver, I think that's what his name was. He was the original owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He wanted to talk to Jimmy Johnson about North Turner as a potential coach. And he's like, well, I want to talk to you. There's another guy that I think you might want to look at that be just even better than him. He's like, well, who? Well, me. Now, I don't know if that happened or not, but that's what Mike Fisher says. Now, he always, you know how I like in them films where when the director wants you to pay attention to one aspect of a shot, they'll zero in on that shot and pan out on the other shot on the other side of the shot, and then because they want you to see this and not want you to see that. Mike always wants you to zero in on Jerry and minimize Jimmy's importance. I noticed that in his. I'm perceptive in how he always makes it seem as though Jerry is like, anybody could have done what Jimmy done. And I'm like, no, everybody could not have done what Jimmy done because Jimmy was successful at every turn that he was at coach. Anybody could have went to Miami and won like national championships and stuff like that. No, anybody couldn't have done that. He been coaching and been a football guy for like 30 years. All the time since he left Arkansas, he was in football. Jerry was in the oil. What do he know about football other than he could buy a team? So, but anyway, yeah, that's what he says. But like I said, I take that with a grain of salt coming from Mike because he always focuses in on Jerry and focuses out on Jimmy, and he made it look like Jimmy, deserved to get, run off or that sort of thing. And Jerry was in his rights to do that. And Barry didn't do a bad job. And I'm like, dude, Troy Aikman basically said on that tirade on the sideline, if y'all ever seen that, it's on Instagram. Just look up Troy Aikman sideline rant. Yeah, I think that was against Arizona. I think that was like 97 or 98. I can't remember what year that was, but it was in Barry Switch. I think it was the last of Barry Switchers there. He's just cussing them up and down. He said the daggum coaches don't do nothing. He said, why I got to go up here and get in somebody's AWS? I mean, it was expletive bleep all up and down there because he was mad because the guys weren't blocking. The guys were just lollygagging around, and he's like, "Why I got it? The coaches won't coach, the guys won't get, the coaches won't. Why I got to do the coach's job?" You think if Jimmy Johnson was coaching, they would have to do that? But y'all need to go see that. Um, Instagram, I guess you can call it a story. It's about like 30 seconds long. Is epic, man. It tells you all you need to know about the years after Jimmy Johnson left the Cowboys and why they just went like that. They went 10-6. That after they went to the Super Bowl and won it, went 10-6, then 6-10, and then they just went 5-11, 5-11, 5-11. Bottom just fell out because nobody held nobody accountable. Jimmy held your AWS accountable. And Jerry won't hire a guy that will hold him accountable because in order to do that, you got to kind of insulate him, the players from Jerry. What did Marcus Spears say when he was on the show the other day? We're gonna close because I didn't want this to be a rant fest. I didn't want this to turn into a rant fest, but it ends up being that way. But Marcus Spears, when he was on this before this Tampa Bay Philly game, he was talking about the debacle that the Green Bay game or whatever. He said the whole experience with the Cowboys is different. He said, I played 8 years in the Cowboys and I played 3 with the Baltimore Ravens. He said, I never saw Mr. Bisciotti. I don't know if he owned the team at the time or not. He said, I saw him like one time in them 2 years. I guarantee you see Jerry Jones every day that you with the Cowboys because he's so accessible. And you feel like that whatever the coach says, if you don't like it, you can go to Jerry and talk to him and he'll like, he's the good parent. Mama, Daddy won't let me have ice cream. Well, you've been okay. You ain't missed that many practices. Go and get you some ice cream. It's all right. Tell Mikey I said, Doug, stop making you mad. And I don't doubt that don't happen. Okay. Jerry will get his press conferences approved by Jimmy. After Jimmy left, Jerry would show up to practice wearing shorts. Yeah, I don't doubt it, man. I don't doubt it. But it's obviously the culture has to change, and it's different. It's got to change on a variety of levels. It's got to change in how the coaches, is how the players are held responsible, are held accountable. It's got to change in terms of what license, a creative license, the coaches have to call whatever plays and whatever game plan I see is applicable to whatever opponent, and have the freedom and the liberty to be able to call that without having Jerry looking over your shoulder. And I also believe that it needs to have the credibility, the culture has to change because the accountability has to change from the GM position. Because if things don't work out, like Jerry decided to hire Mike back this year. Now, if we go 10-7 or 9-8 next year and miss the playoffs, shouldn't Jerry get fired next year? Because that's exactly what the Los Angeles Chargers did this year. They decided to hire Brandon Staley back after that playoff debacle last year. And I think his name was, what was the GM's name? God, I had his name on the tip of my tongue. Because I don't know why I know all these teams' GMs and stuff, because maybe I envy them. God, I can't think of his name. I couldn't look it up, but I'm not going to delay the video that long. But so when they went 5-12 or 6-11 this year, both the coach that let the team go to 5-11 or 6-12, and the GM that didn't fire Brandon Staley last year and allowed him to come back for that what you would call a lame duck year, they both got fired. What's your bet if the Cowboys go 9-8 or 10-7 or something like that, and we are unsuccessful? What you want to bet that Jerry won't remove? What you think? What's the odds that Jerry will remove himself from GM? Because if that was another team, that's what would happen. Okay, that's what would happen. They would get fired. Okay, all right. I guarantee you, if Baltimore had lost the game yesterday and it went one and done one more time in the playoffs, De Castro, I think that's his name. I think he would have been on the hot seat or would have got fired. As good as Baltimore had been, because you're not getting it done in the playoffs. And we were one and done after a 12-5 season, a season where we led the league in scoring and didn't do nothing in the playoffs. And we brought everybody back. Now, if we go 9-7, 9-8, 10-7 next year, and are a short participant in the playoffs, Jerry not firing himself and bringing in somebody like Mike. What's the guy that used to run Michael? What's the guy's name that used to run the Patriots? God, I can't think. His name is Mike. Also, Mike. It's not McDaniel. Mike. God, I can't think his name. They're not hiring him. But getting back to that stuff you mentioned earlier about the family, so that just brings the pressure. You got CD's mama saying Dak's not the guy, but I wonder if Dak's brother was saying that CD is not the guy when he was dropping 3rd down and 5 passes over the middle or in his hand, or he's dropping sideline passes that kept drive going that went right through his hands like that. When he was letting Zaire Alexander push him in the back, and it's like, oh, okay. I'm good, and not stand up for yourself. Did Dak say, like, dude, CD's not the dude? Did Tad Prescott think that CD Lamb wasn't the guy when he seen him do that? All I'm saying is everybody made forgettable plays in that game, and you didn't need the family members coming saying that, because it's going to make it look like that those players had that mindset, like maybe CD thought that about Dak, And then, of course, Dak's don't get it because he's a Cowboys quarterback, and he had another subpar performance in the playoffs. I know he had 403 yards and 3 touchdowns, but that first half was forgettable. And he's going to catch the wrath of that. Like it, good, bad, or indifferent. He's catching that because he's Dak Prescott, the quarterback of the Cowboys. And so now Tad Prescott's wanting to get him out of Dallas because, okay, you can leave Dallas if you want to, but you could kiss goodbye your direct TV commercial spots, or Sleep Number commercial spots, your yogurt commercial spots, your Lowe's commercial spots, because most teams that guys aren't winning playoff games, you're not seeing them in commercials. Now you see Patrick Mahomes, a lot of commercials, Subway, Gatorade, I think it's Gatorade, State Farm, there's, I want to say it's some sort of insurance, another kind of insurance, not an insurance, but like a money management type thing that he's got a commercial spot for, and some other things. So, but he's won 2 Super Bowls, got a couple of MVPs. All right. If you're a guy that don't win playoff games, you're not going to be in them commercials. Okay. So you got to take the bitter with the sweet. Yeah, I'm getting more scrutiny than I'm supposed to get, but dang, I'm getting $40 million in commercial spots. Life don't exactly suck. So, same thing with Micah. Look, Micah, you bringing a lot of this stuff on yourself, man, but some of the stuff you're doing, trashing other teams' players on a game before you got a game. Like, dude, them other teams, and then he should have been upset because the other players in the Players Association didn't vote him an All-Pro. Why you think all these other guys are your friends? They're not. They're not. And you need to play this game like you don't have no friends. Destroy them, Micah. They don't like you like that. Destroy them. See, and so he's trying to befriend everybody, be all in, and then he's critiquing other players and stuff in games. And then what if his game was Saturday and they saw how he played and didn't even register a pressure? Dang, Micah, you supposed to be the defensive player of the year, didn't even see you play. How would he like that? So that's all I'm saying, man. family members and the father of Michael could get in there and say all this stuff, but he brought that on himself. But look, man, but all of that's all under the umbrella of the cowboy and that pressure cooker that we're in. And as long as that pressure cooker is like that, man, pressure bust pipes, man. It either does one or two things. And it's starting to be the other thing with our team, and we'll close the video on this. Pressure does two things, people. It either busts pipes or it produces diamonds. Right now, our pipes burst and water's everywhere. I don't see no diamonds. I don't see no diamonds. All right. After 30 years of futility, I would have loved that Jera would have had his loan approved to buy the Chargers. You ain't kidding. Troy has said when Jimmy was here, Jera would get him. Yeah. Looked like the boys took a payoff dive like they did in boxing. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I do watch games and wonder was somebody paid to do that, and I know a lot of times, I know my boy TK, he's the guy that wears the conspiracy hat. Don't tell him I said that now. He's the one with the tinfoil hat. We talk a lot of times about stuff. I tell you, we talk a lot of stuff before we even go on video, and we have sometimes 2 or 3 hour conversation before we even go on, go live when we're doing our pick'em shows. But a lot of times he was talking about, man, a lot of times these games are swayed, and the easiest guy to get to, because football in bed with gambling now, So you kind of almost got to look at these games with a side eye when you see a guy fumble going into the end zone. It's like, dude, what the heck? He said, but you know who could easily be got? The kicker. Because the kicker makes maybe $1 million a year. They're looked at as being dispensable. They'll just get rid of another guy and get another guy. It ain't like he making $15 million a year. And, he don't get no love. The team don't like him no way. He said, look at the kickers. And you see a kicker miss a kick, and he shank a kick he shouldn't have kicked. The guy in Buffalo missed a kick he probably should have kicked. And Buffalo fans, I know y'all don't want to hear that, but that bad boy will ride wide right, man. I know y'all don't want to hear that. Scott Norwood and Rod Wright back in 91. I know y'all ain't trying to hear that. But that bad boy wide right. And I thought for sure he's going to nail that. That thing going to be tied. We're going to get ready to play this thing in overtime. Or Patrick's going to come down the field in a minute and a half and win the thing. But that thing went wide right. And I'm sitting there like, wow. He meant the same thing with the Green Bay kicker yesterday. I'm like, man, that thing should have been 7. That just set the stage for San Francisco to come down. But I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that you hear TK tell it. If you ever want to get to a guy, the bookies and the guys that put pressure on the guy, you put pressure on the guy that don't make a lot of money, and it's kind of like not beloved in the locker room because the kickers are kind of interchangeable, kind of like, we'll just get another kicker, and he don't make no money, So I'm just saying. But anyway, man, hope everybody the lunatic said, please share, because I like to think I got a refreshing take on the Cowboys and my thing, and y'all can see the passion that I have for them. A lot of people look at it like I'm critical, but I'm not gonna just say glowing things about them when you're not doing well. Like I said, it's like your child. I'm not gonna, if I know my child's capable of getting straight A's, I'm not gonna put on pom poms and they're getting C pluses. When I know you can do better, when I know better is within you to be had. So yeah, I'm gonna be critical. But when they win, nobody champions them better than me. You can see in my video when they win, I'm like, yeah, Dak was that dude. CeeDee Lamb, best receiver in the NFL, boy. Boy, look at that offense. Look at how we did that. Boy, DaRon Bland should be a defensive player of the year candidate. But when you get smoked by Devontae Smith on a 45-yard touchdown, you get beat by Jameson Williams on a straight go route when you should have known he's running the go route, I'm critical of you. Dude, you should have known better than that. Okay? I try to keep it a beam. Okay? And that's what I try to do. I try to do that. I try to keep it a beam. That's kind of the way I do my stuff. And I hopefully that I'm able to keep it real, and I hope Cowboy fans, like me or will appreciate the approach that I come to the thing with. You're talking and thinking like I do. Keep it up. God bless. God bless you too, man. God bless all of y'all for coming and listening to me bellyache, man. 'Cause that's all I was doing. This was a bellyache fest, man. And my wife ain't gonna listen to me. She done went to bed already. Man. I wish you could talk to me about them raggedy Cowboys. So I gotta talk to somebody. I got to talk to somebody, and y'all are just good enough to listen to me, man. So I appreciate y'all for listening to me and griping with me, man. And I promise you, we're gonna get through this thing. And next week or week after next, I'm gonna start talking some videos about draft, who we'd like to draft, and areas we'd like to attack. Maybe some free agents we'd like to get because this is a little drier in the off season because there's really not a lot to talk about because we have no games. But I'm gonna try to at least bring at least a video a week and talk about something. If nothing more than highlight a player that I like and just talk about him or whatever and stuff like that. And then if y'all come on and chat, I'll just let y'all vent and I'll just listen to y'all because y'all have listened to me. Y'all are my therapy, man. But anyway, man, like, comment, and subscribe. Come apart. The Uncle Fred Sports Experience. Share that with some other folks, please. Let them know that there's good cowboy content right here, and so the algorithms will get shared, get pushed to other people, and they'll appreciate and get to see what I do, and maybe they'll like it, and I can get enough where I can start getting monetized, man. Then I can start adding a lot of creative things to my videos, and they just me sitting up here talking. I can put graphs and numbers and share videos and all that kind of good stuff with y'all, man. But anyway, man, we'll catch you guys on the next video. God bless you guys in every which way possible. And we'll catch you guys on the next video. Y'all take care.